This is the Gale Reference Complete landing page. It has its own hub because it is a combination of 3 different cross-searching platforms that are tailored to different types of products. So when we scroll down, you'll see that we have a general research section, a primary sources, and then a literature section. General research is where all of the journals. Move on to literature next. Same sort of format. So a lot of the tools will be very similar. They're just customized to this type of content. So for example, if we want to look up Frankenstein, it displays the search results in the same format. You have your filters over here. You have your full text options over here. You just have different types of content to filter through, so you can go with biographies or overviews, whatever you might be needing. You also see that there's a topic finder option in this platform as well, and I'll get to term frequency in a little bit. The difference, instead of having like a subject search and a publication search, you have a person search and works search. So in the person search, you can look up Mary Shelley, and it will bring up information just on her. Or if you're not familiar, or if you couldn't remember what the author name is, and you just want something a bit more general, you can actually use these selectors. Let's say you want to look for a female author who is Australian. Keep it really broad. You could add a lot more here as well. And then just search, and it should bring up a whole list of female authors from Australia. So you can use it in a couple of ways. If you know exactly what you're looking for, you can pop in the name, or if you're not quite sure, you just kind of know what region or style or movement, you can use the keywords in the different limiters that way. Same thing for work search. You can obviously type in the title, but you can also type in the type of work, if you want an autobiography or fiction or comic book, publication year, whatever century they're from, what language it's written in. You got a lot of different options here to search for a work. And then I'm going to go back to search results if I can. There we go. So term frequency is another tool that is in common with this platform and the archives. And it's because it needs a finite set of resources to scan. It essentially takes your keyword and plots it over a date line. So if we do something like Gothic and Romanticism, when you search, it will show you the peaks and troughs of how often that word appears in the documents that the database has from that year. And this is really great for starting off a research project. If you're not quite sure where to go, you might look at something like this and think, oh, these 2 words are mentioned quite a lot in 1991. It's a similar peak. Why might that be? And you can start questioning the data and using it as a starting point to ask questions around why something is so popular in that particular year. Here, there's quite a big spike in Gothic, but not as much in Romanticism. Maybe you want to click into that and find out why. And when you click into the nodules, you get all of those articles that mention that word in them in a nice list as well for you to peruse. Any questions on this one before I finish up with Archives Unbound? Pages, but I'm actually going to go into the native platform. All of these have native platforms as well. And I want to highlight what the Archives Unbound platform can do, because there's a few new unique options since there's a lot of content in here. First, you've got different topic hubs. So there's about 340 collections in here now. We add to it every year. And if you want to just broadly look at Asian studies or cultural studies, we've hubbed those collections into relevant topics, just as a starting point of trying to dive into all of the content available. Or you can go into the collections button. Same sort of thing where we're hubbing the different collections together based on topic, but you can visualize it in a different way. It's presented in a list. You can kind of scroll through this to see what you might want. When you add a topic, like African American studies, it limits it by that option so that you can easily scroll through and see what's available. And it's not just for history. We do have a Shakespeare collection in here. There it is. And when you click into any of the collections, this will highlight a little overview of what's in the collection. And then you can also use a keyword search right just in this own collection as opposed to a overarching basic search through all of the archives we offer. Or you can use the view all documents option to kind of page through like you would a book in person. But if you're not quite sure where to start, the basic search does cross-search everything in here too. So if you're looking up, let's say, Cold War, you can pop in that keyword. It has a similar layout to the other platforms. The main difference is these are facsimiles, not HTML. So we have this nice keyword preview option. Allows you to quickly assess, okay, where's my keyword appearing in green? And is this relevant? Looks like this is in the title, so I'm just going to page through. Here's a snippet. So you can kind of see from the snippet, okay, is this something that is relevant to whatever I'm researching? This looks like it's talking about the Cold War in relation to education. So if that's something that's of interest, you would open that up and see the whole document in facsimile format here. You can make this bigger. You can zoom in. Don't know if I can reach those buttons because my screen is being blocked by the zoom controls. Move this up. Well, I'll have to minimize this so that I can get to the controls. Here's the zoom in option. And then you can also make it smaller as well. You can also change the coloring. So this one's not too bad to read, but some of the newspapers are a bit faded. So you might find that changing the contrast helps you read it a bit better. And then you can page through it systematically, or you can use the search term hits. And this just lets you click on something that shows your keyword where it appears in green. And that's the main platform features for Archives Unbound. So I'll stop sharing my screen. Cool. All right, Carolyn, hand over to you then.
Okay, thank you. Please do continue to put questions in the chat box if you have additional questions. Allison has done a great job going through the demonstration. This is just to really give you some specifics. I understand that you probably weren't taking notes, and just wanted to give you some specifics related to the package. So as she said, the package contains 3 core platforms. Power Search allows you to link to current periodicals and the ebooks. Then you have the Gale Literary Source platform, which allows you to cross-search all of the literary components. And then Archives Unbound, Gale Primary Sources allows you to look at Archives Unbound. All of the content really is best to be used within the cross-search platform. So I would highly recommend that you link your students. You can link, as Allison highlighted, to individual native platforms, but I highly recommend that you try and link to the cross-searchable tools, because that's where students will find the most of the content. And if it's cross-searchable and it allows them to discover it, why not let them find more of what's in the package? And really, we just wanted to highlight here that, numbers do make a difference. We try to provide you with the content as quickly as possible. A lot of the content will decline after several months. So we do try to provide you with the content as quickly as possible. And you can see we have the lowest embargo of any of our competitors. If we look at the periodicals, I wanted to just, again, give you specifics on what's here. The academic journals are really our strongest. Academic content is one of our strongest databases. So I wanted to just really highlight the variety of different academic journals, peer-reviewed content that's here. This is by no means all-encompassing. I could not at all pull out everything that's there, but I wanted to just highlight the variety of content that you might find. So as you can see here, you've got law content, you have economics, public health. Some of you reference the different subjects that you support. There's a variety of content here. I asked some of our editors to give me sort of like a top 20, top 25, and I wanted to just highlight here a sample list of subjects. So just again to give you a flavor of where this content is and how it measures up to the subjects that you do support. And then if we look at the general and the vocational journals, once again, our aim is to really provide students with quality content that they can use for research and studies. And you can see here, this looks at language studies, this looks at travel, this looks at gaming and computer technology, mortgage strategy, a variety of content here within general and vocational journals. And the local newspapers. Most of your students might be interested in what's happening locally if they're doing research. And this is just a few of the local content that I've pulled out that can be accessed through General One-File News, or Gale One-File News, pardon me. But again, if you are directing them to the Power Surge platform, the content in any of these newspapers will come up for them. So unless they specifically want to go to a specific local newspaper content, they don't need to go to the One-File News database. It will be cross-searchable. And again, for the ebooks, just highlighting just a small sample of the reference titles. And you can see here, the first one is International Directory of Company History. It's really good for business, management students, marketing students. And then you have the others that relate to medicine, biography, and history. We looked at the literature. I won't go back into it, but I did want to just highlight a few of the things. Work search and person search, Allison referenced and demonstrated, really, really good way for students to find individuals and content. And person search has been updated to include a new LGBTQ plus limiter. So if they are doing gender studies, or if they are looking at something very specific, they can use that limiter. And again, with the multimedia content, they can hear the content in the author's own voice. That makes a huge difference in how they interpret that content. So that is also a huge feature. And then with the archives, we're up to almost 400 in Archives Unbound, and this is just a small sampling. You can see it spreads across quite a lot of areas and history, but also, economic empowerment. It looks at race relations. It also looks at religion and politics. And there are some new British relevant archives. So if your students are studying anything British history or European history, there are some new archives collections within that might be of interest to them. So a variety of content. Just wanted to give you some specifics just so you can see what's there and you'll be even more